Hey crafty friends, I am back with a process video. This is for the Hip Kit Club design team, and my assignment this week was cut file. So what I did was I cut this cut file out on white cardstock using my Cameo, and the cut file I'm using was designed by Kim Watson, and it's designed to mimic or kind of replicate that wreath in the Pink Fresh Indigo Hills 2 paper that everyone's freaking out about, myself included. That wreath paper is so beautiful, and somehow Kim, in her infinite artistic capabilities that I just do not have, was able to replicate that wreath. So now that you have a cut file, you can cut it over and over even after the paper's gone. So what I did was I cut the paper out on white cardstock. This is just basic white cardstock from Michaels, and I cut it out 12 by 12. And then what I did was I took this dark blue paper and I traced the center of the wreath out on the dark blue paper, and I cut it out with regular scissors. And so the plan was to have the center of the paper be empty and then have my put like a paper or something behind it. So what I did was I glued the wreath down, and then I decided to use white cardstock as my backing paper. I went through the papers that I had left to see if a colored cardstock would work, and I did mess around with like some yellow and some pink, but I just went with the white cardstock overall. And then so I traced out that center circle again because I'm going to do some mixed media in the background, and my plan was to do mixed media where my photo is hanging out and then have it kind of peeking out from behind the wreath. You'll see what it looks like when I'm finished. So I'm using some colors from this month's color kit and last month's color kit. So in this month's September, because we're technically in October, the September color kit, you have a shimmers in cotton candy and a shimmers in mustard seed, and those are the pink and the yellow shimmers. And then last month, if you have the color kit, the August color kit, there was a shimmers called Well Blew Me Down, and so those are the colors that I decided to use. And I've been printing my photos in black and white a lot this month and a lot recently, just because it gave me more room to play with color and do whatever I want as far as embellishments without having to match the colors to the photo. So the photo I'm working with here is a picture of my husband Joshua and one of our kittens. He has Minerva on his lap, and she's just like staring up at him, and he has like the sweetest smile on his face. She is totally his cat. Like I tell everyone, Minerva's his cat. She just tolerates me because I feed her. I think maybe he tolerates me because I feed him too, but she tolerates me because I feed her. And whenever he's sitting in a chair, the second like he's sitting down, he has nothing in his lap, she's automatically in his lap. That is his cat. And so it was just a really cute capture of the two of them, and I thought it'd be a perfect photo to scrap. I printed it in two sizes. I printed it in a 4x4 square and a 3x4 rectangle because I just did not know which one was going to work with what I had in mind for this layout. So there you see, I'm doing the mixed media. I've added the yellow, I've added the pink. I put my wreath page thing back over top the white cardstock so I could kind of get an idea. And this pink is really, really light. I probably would have done another layer of it, like looking back at the layout now, because it's really, really sheer. So if you do decide to use the cotton candy, you might want to layer this one up because it's pretty sheer. But I love the way the pink and the blue and the yellow look. And those colors also repeat in the Indigo Hills 2 collection, so that's part of the reason why I chose those colors. There was also a purple in the color kit this month. It's Wisteria Lane. I just decided not to use it. And there you saw me griping about a spot of blue paint that I managed to get on my wreath, but I eventually covered that up. So now I'm going in and I'm adding some splatters. I envy the rest of you crafters who manage to add splatters and make it look super easy, because I struggle every single time. I don't know if I'm just like not getting enough paint on the nozzles of the spray bottle or what it is I'm doing wrong, but like I watch other people do their splatters and it's just like splatter happy, all the paint things everywhere. When I do my splatter, it's just like struggle completely on the struggle bus. So I do some splatters in the green, there's no green on this page, in the blue and the yellow and the pink. And then I grab some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine, and then I add some gold splatters to the pages. I just think it needed a little bit of gold, which worked out perfectly because my title ends up being a gold acrylic piece. I just like the way gold looks on a layout, and if I can add a little bit of metallics to anything, then I do that. So I went ahead and I dried my layout using my heat tool, and then I backed the blue paper on some fun foam, and then I put that on the white paper. And the reason I backed the blue paper on some fun foam was to kind of lift the whole thing up and to give me some space so I can tuck embellishments behind. So now you see everything's kind of glued together, everything's one piece, and I've tucked my photo kind of where I want it sitting. And then I go into my hip kit box for this month and I pull out all the things that I think I might want to use on this page. So off camera, I did a little bit of fussy cutting. There was a crepe paper and Maggie Holmes vellum sheet that had gold, this giant gold flower, and I'm pretty sure it was Willow Lane because it looks like the blue and white flower page. If you know what I'm talking about, then this will make perfect sense. But what I did was I cut out some of the flowers and some of the leaves from that gold vellum page, and you'll see me tuck a few in here and there. I also pulled out the Pink Fresh Indigo Hills 2 die cut pack. This came in the main kit. And then I pulled out the chipboard, which came in the embellishment kit. I love when you get the multiple kits, how the lines repeat and everything just kind of blends and goes together. Kimberly does such a great job putting these kits together. She's such a good eye for how to match things that I just don't have. So now I'm pulling out various things from the ephemera pack. And those are those flowers that I was telling you about that I fussy cut. So now you can see them a little bit better. So one of them is like huge, and I struggle with using that one for a while until I finally decide how I want to use it, but it's pretty massive. And then I have a few smaller ones that I tuck in here or there. I also added that purple wreath. That was a die cut, and I cut it right along the flower so it's kind of open, and that way I can put the flower on the front of my photo and put the rest of the wreath behind my photo. And I'm sorry if I sound a little congested. I'm really under the weather. It's probably why this voiceover took me so long. This is the 4th time I've tried recording it. I don't know if I have a sinus infection or if allergies are just kicking my butt, but today was just a really long and trying day. So I hope my voice does not sound terrible and that I'm at least slightly engaging and entertaining while you watch me play with flowers. Now, the good thing about the Pink Fresh Indigo Hills 2 pack is it was full of flowers. And then if you like fussy cutting as much as I do, and you just pick one of the papers and fussy cut flowers, you'll have floral pieces for days. So here is where I finally decide, okay, this is where I'm going to put that larger flower piece. And I put it on the right side of the page. And my plan was to put it on the right side of the photo and then tuck most of it behind, like into the wreath. So it's behind the wreath, so only a tiny bit of it actually sticks out. So I'm going ahead and I'm just, gluing everything on. I stuck down that wreath that I was talking to you about that I cut up, and then here's one of those flowers that I fussy cut up. This is a flower from the die cut pack. I didn't do any fussy cutting of the Pink Fresh flowers. The only flowers that I fussy cut were from Maggie Holmes. But if you have the ephemera pack, there's a ton of like little flower pieces in there that you can use. So now I'm adding another one of those gold flowers that I cut out to the top of the photo cluster. I figured I'd space it out and try to create that visual triangle thing that I'm always talking about that I don't ever know if I'm doing right. So I put one on the left side, I put some on the top, and then I put one on the right. The larger flowers on the right. So now I'm going through the embellishment pack, the chipboard embellishment pack, and I'm just, my plan is to just layer as much as I can behind this photo. So everything that I can put behind this photo and have popping out and peeking through, that is the plan. Since the focus of the layout was the cut file and I wasn't going to be doing a lot of clusters like I normally do, I figured I'd make this one cluster really, really large. Now I take this small pink chipboard frame and I put it on the bottom left of the page, and as I look at the final layout I realize you can't see it anymore. When I tucked it in to the wreath, so it's like hiding behind the wreath, I tucked it a little too far down so you don't see that anymore, which it kind of makes me sad because I really like that pink wreath. It was really pretty. So what you saw me do was grab another one of those chipboard frames and rip off all the chipboard so it's relatively flat. I kind of wanted everything to be one level back here so it all laid nice and flat behind this photo. So I ripped off the extra chipboard bits that gave it dimension, and glued it down. So now I have this like really nice and high photo cluster. I'm really happy with the way it looks. And I think what I do next is work on the opposite. No, I'm lying. I put down a little bit more more frames, because that's what this layout needed, was more frames. So if you did grab any of the hip kits from September, you'll notice that they're full of this like cool tones, and I didn't think I was gonna love them. My favorite colors to scrap with are pink, yellow, and teal, but I'm also very much a fan of warm tone colors. I think it's why I like gold so much, but I love golds and I love like pastels and soft neutrals. And the color palette in this kit was so bold that I was just like, huh, this might be rough for me. So my tip for you is, if you enter into a layout or a kit and the color scheme is not something that you feel automatically gravitated towards, print your photos in black and white. Like, start with the black and white photo and then let the embellishments and let the papers dictate your color scheme. A lot of time we do that in reverse. We start with a photo that has a particular color and then we work around our embellishments to make it match. But if you start with a black and white photo and you start with something that's super neutral, then you can let your embellishments and your papers and everything else dictate the way your layout goes. And that's what I've been doing recently. So I really wanted to showcase the kits and make the kits shine on my pages, but I had all these photos, especially in our new apartment. It's a really, really warm lighting in here, and so everything just kind of gets this like yellow cast. And so I've just been printing everything in black and white, and then that way I can use any photo on any page and not have to worry about matching my embellishments. So there's your unsolicited scrapbooking pro tip. If you came for those, I'm full of them. So if that's what you came for, there's your scrapbook pro tip for the day. Now what I'm doing is covering that spot where the spot of blue paint fell that you saw me having a panic attack over. I just decided to create a little cluster there. So I added another one of those vellum flowers that I had left back from the ones I cut out. That coral banner is from the die cut pack and it just says celebration. And then I add a gray chipboard flower. That's not a flower, that's a heart. A gray chipboard heart from the Pink Fresh chipboard pack. And now I found another frame because there weren't enough frames peeking out behind this photo. So now there's another frame. And actually, if you look at the close-ups, you do see all the details. It's not like I'm just layering things and things are lost. I know sometimes when you put a bunch of layers on a page, it could sometimes look like you're just sticking things down to stick things down and things get lost. But if you look at the close-ups at the end of the video, you still see each and every frame, you still see all the flower bits, you see all the individual gold vellum flowers, and so the cluster works out really well. So now I'm finally putting my photo down. I am committing. We all know I have commitment issues, and that's why I don't glue things down to the very last minute, but I am gluing my photo down and now I'm committing. And so I put a little bit of glue over that leaf that has the cluster on it because it was kind of leaning a little bit funny. Like, I didn't want to glue down any of the leaves. I like that whole like floating shadowy effect it gets. But because I had the die cut on that leaf, I wanted to secure it a little bit more so it didn't just go blow away and bending all the clusters that I have on top of it. So that leaf gets glued down to the main cluster and the rest of them are just kind of like floating and hanging around. When I did glue them down, I glued the outer leaves to the blue paper and left the middle leaves kind of floating, if that makes any sense. So now I decided I wanted to balance it out a little bit more and do a cluster on the top left part of the circle. So I just go into the die cut pack and pull out a bunch of die cuts. I pull out that large floral piece that was from the Indigo Hills 2 die cut pack. I pull out a coral colored like leaf thing. I think that's supposed to look like branches. And then I pull out this frame that I end up cutting in half because I only needed half of the frame. But I wanted just a little bit of that purple sticking out to carry over the colors. My plan was to just repeat the colors that are on the lower right side. So if you have a lot of colors on a page and you decide to repeat a cluster or make another cluster, the tip is to just repeat the colors. So see, I added some of that coral. That floral cluster has the coral and the yellow and the green. And then to drag over the blue and the purple, I took that little bit of the chipboard frame from the chipboard pack and added it there. That's a little pink flower that was from the chipboard pack. I just, again, pulled off the chipboard to make it a little bit less dimensional and put it down. So after this, all that's left to do is to work on my title. And this whole layout, I'm, gluing things down and putting things together. I had no idea what I wanted my title to be. I actually thought about pulling out those Maggie Holmes letters and just spelling out something. And then I remembered that in the kits, you get this My Mind's Eye acrylic stickers. They're gold acrylic stickers from My Mind's Eye. And of course, the perfect title jumps out at me. They are stickers that say Hello Bestie. So I glue down my title, and then I grab a few more of those acrylic stickers. There's a bow and a heart, and I just scatter it around the page just to drag the gold in, and I call this layout done. So I'll have some still photos at the break, and if you want to see some close-ups. Thank you so much for watching and for bearing with me. There is a blog post on the HipKit blog for this, so if you want to get more details and see more pictures close up. And as always, don't forget to check out the HipKit shop and grab a kit of your own. Keep it crafty, friends, and have a great day.